Hey everyone, it's Jack, and today I'm out at the Modicia website to take a look at Modicia OS. This is an Italian distro that I actually took a look at about a year ago, and I thought this was an amazing distro, just over the top back then. And so now I'm back, now that 22.04 is out, and it looks like it could be bigger and better than ever. Modicia Linux is an Italian distro that's based on Ubuntu 22.04, and the release that's out currently is 22.04.1 of Modicia. And so here you can see that we got three different types that are available. We got the Ultimate, the Enterprise, and the Education. And the Ultimate is the free version. So with the free version, you get pretty much everything you need. You get more than everything you need. Whereas the Enterprise offers versions that are more customized towards a business environment or an enterprise where you have a network and you're using specialized office type needs. And so that is kind of cool. And then there's the Education version, which according to their website, they already have in 12 different schools, which I'm assuming there are 12 schools in Italy. And so that's really cool. And so that includes stuff like LibreOffice, K-Geography, K-Word Quiz, K-Stars, GNOME Paint, and so forth. So all really good. Now the Ultimate is the free version, the community version, and then the Enterprise and the Education has a small cost to that, and that includes support. And it's mostly for support because really you could duplicate the Enterprise and the Education packages in the Ultimate just by installing them yourself and having pretty much the same thing. And then if we scroll down a little bit on this page, then we have a description of the Modicia OS Ultimate. And so here it's showing that it is geared towards everything: professional audio, video, graphics, and the main features of the Ultimate, Enterprise, and Sound. So there's 7 of them in all that are common to all these three, and along with the other optimizations, customizations, and exclusive configurations, which they say will be pleasant news that will allow you to use the distribution immediately. You'll have everything you need to work without difficult configurations and the best professional software already installed and optimized. Wow! So a few of the things that they note here is Turbo Boost processors are active by default, swappiness is reduced to 10%, and programs are faster by 25%, and consequently also increase the life of the SSD disk. So really good sounding optimizations there. And then data and RAM memory is compressed with a speed reading and read-write more than 20%. Also, Wine Samba rsync is already configured and active by default. So that is really nice there. And then they go on to describe the different specific differences here with the Enterprise. And the Enterprise looks like it's got some enhancements with the Office, like language packs installed already, and so forth. And with the Education, again, like I was going over before, a lot of education type software that's installed there as well. So that's really nice to see they have an Education version. And then they even have a Sound version for professionals that work in audio and so forth. So there's a lot of great open source stuff in there as well that you can play with. So that is really neat. And then if we scroll down here, we got our different downloads. And speaking of downloads, that reminds me, because let me jump back into my studio for a minute, because I wanted to take note of a couple of comments that we got. This was actually comments that I got just a day or two ago regarding Modicia from my previous review. And it seems kind of timely here. So what Jay has said was, "Hey Jack, great to see you're into this very stylish distro. I've struggled with downloading the free community ISO. It seems to drop midway or at the end of the download. I haven't had any issues like this with other distros, and if it failed, there was a resume, but not with this. Is there something I can do on my end, like install a download manager? Thanks in advance." And then Steve Richard chimed right in, and he said, "I'm getting the same download problem. No, I tried downloading the distro some months ago, and for me, the download won't even take. I wonder if download are turned off, because the details seem to suggest that this is a community supported site, and maybe that their download bandwidth has been exceeded and throttled or something. I'm in Australia. Maybe it only supports European downloads or something. I cannot find any way to download them from SourceForge or anywhere else. The other big question is, has the distro been updated to Ubuntu 22.04 LTS, or is it still linked to 22.04 LTS? Well, Steve, thank you for chiming in. I appreciate you jumping in there and giving some response to that question as well. And first of all, this is based on Ubuntu 22.04, Jammy Jellyfish. So it is the latest and greatest here, and that's actually the main reason I'm jumping in today to review this. And as far as the download problem goes, I'm not quite sure what to tell you, but if I remember properly, the download link actually goes to MediaFire, where it's stored on MediaFire. So it's possible that maybe in your zone you are having some issues with MediaFire. Maybe MediaFire is blocked in your area. I'm not really sure if MediaFire has some kind of restrictions or not. Personally, I'm not aware of any off the top of my head, but that might be one thing to keep in mind. However, just follow along with me right now while I download it on the website here, and we'll just kind of go through the same steps and hopefully you'll have better luck. So here I'll just go ahead and under the free link here, I'm going to hit start, and now it's taking us to another window, which is really gorgeous. By the way, this website is just really well done and beautiful. So here, what I want to do is I want to select the community option here, and then it opens up this separate download window. And here we got some links here on top here. These are links to an installation guide where you can get some information on installing. And then here we got a link to some ISO writer tools. So if you're a Windows user, you can download this tool here and then use that to burn the ISO to a bootable disk, a bootable USB like this, and then you can install it right from your computer on boot up. So they make it real easy there. And then of course, what we're really interested in right now is the Modicia OS Ultimate 22.04.1 download, which is right here with a little download symbol. So I'm going to hit that, and then it takes you out to MediaFire here. And so as long as you don't have any issues with getting into MediaFire website, you should be able to download this, I would think. And if you can't access MediaFire for some strange reason, you should be able to maybe use one of those online proxy sites where you can just make it look like you're from another country and then try downloading it. However, I'm going to hit the download link here, and then I'm going to download this guy, and I'll be right back when it's finished. Okay, all went well, and I'm out here at the boot up screen here from Modicia. All right, and here we are back at our boot up. So we're booting in now to the new, hopefully working Modicia. So beautiful splash screen. I love the splash screen on there. It's just so gorgeous right off the top. What a nice intro. So here we are now at our login screen. It looks like everything went fine, so that's great. And whoa, here's our desktop, and absolutely stunning. I gotta tell you, look at this. We got our panel on the bottom. It's a Mac style with zooming icons. Beautiful scrolling here for a great effect. And then up here on top, we got our top panel, and then a conky over here on our upper right. So it's showing our CPU usage, our RAM, and file system usage. So that's really great, right at a glance. You can kind of take a look at your resources here. And then here's our Whisker menu again. So if I pop that open, there's that really beautiful look that it's got. Wow, this is really nice. Oh, and I noticed that it also changes categories just by hovering. So that's already enabled. I really like that. And this customization they did is really fantastic. They got some talented people on their end, I think. And then up here, there's our task kill. That's pretty nice. So if you have something that freezes up, you can hit this, and then it makes a little skull and crossbones, and then you can just put it over the application that's giving you trouble, click it, and then it's gone. Of course, I don't want to click anything right now, or I'll kill my desktop probably. So I'm just gonna kind of right click, and then it'll go away with your mouse. So if you ever hit that by mistake and you see that and you're like, nah, that's all you gotta do. Just right click your mouse. And then here we got our search. So our F search here will come up, and I think you can search files for on your file system there for anything, but I don't believe that this is going to find anything until you add stuff to the database. So I believe you got to go in here and then add folders, and then it'll search your folder. And so that's a really nice feature to have if you need to find files, or even probably what's inside a file. And then expose all windows is kind of like your show desktop, I believe, and that'll just kind of bring everything all up at once. So like, for example, I can open up my terminal, and since we're in here, let's look at the stuff. So here we got our favorites folder, which is there by default, and we got something called App Grid in here. That's interesting. So that's discover and install apps for Ubuntu. So let's kind of see what that is. Wow, this looks like a modified version of maybe like a software center. So it looks like you can browse software through here, and you can sort it by category. And then in your categories, you have arts, games, productivity, programming, sciences, and system. So that's cool. So if I wanted to go into the game, then we have all this stuff here, different games that are available, Super Tux Kart, so forth. And by hitting the little arrows here, I can kind of scroll through and see all these different games. Or if I want to look for something specific, I can come up in the search window and hit something like 0AD, and there we are. Wow! And so I can just click on that, and it'll give us a description and typically a picture. There's a pic. And then no reviews on this at the moment in this column over here. But yeah, 0AD, that's a fun game. So I hear. I wouldn't know. I don't play games. And over here under state, you can tell whether this is installed or not. And it looks like it is installed. Wow, didn't see that coming. So if I go in here, it's actually there. I don't see it. So maybe I'm misreading that, because if I go to I didn't see it in there. Yeah, so anyway, not really sure why it was showing that as installed. Maybe that's just the state that they wish it was. And then you can also sort by top rated. Oh, I see what they're saying. Okay, so by state, you can filter things by items that are installed. All right, I get it. My bad. So if we go to installed, then it's going to show no results because there's no games on here right now, especially 0AD. So if you got all those toggled, I'll have to untoggle games. That way we can change our category. And now it's going to show everything that's installed on our system because I have the installed filter here. So we have VLC Media Player and GNU, or GIMP for short, the GNU image manipulation program. And we have Gparted on here, FileZilla, a lot of things installed by default. Audacity, Audacious, which is a great audio editor. And then we have our Ubuntu restricted extras for codecs, and that's something that we checked at the beginning when we were installing here. Synaptic, which is one of my favorite package managers, and then Inkscape is installed by default. Let's see what version Inkscape we're running. So it is the latest 1.1.2, beautiful, -3, so very new, nothing extinct there. And my Paint, which is kind of like a Windows version of Paint, the simplified version. FileZilla, that's great. FTP client. And then we have QBitTorrent. Always good to have BitTorrent on there. And BleachBit, which can delete unnecessary files. And it's kind of equivalent to like Crap Cleaner if you're a Windows user. And then we have Blender. Nice. That's installed by default. That's great. Sound Converter, GNOME Disk Utility, LibreOffice is our Office suite. So just a ton of stuff. And it looks like it really drills down to even things on here that are kind of in the utility category and libraries and so forth. So it is pretty thorough. And what a ton of stuff. Xfce terminal, of course, because we're in Xfce. So that is our app grid. I could probably spend a long time in here. And then, of course, we want to uncheck installed if you want to see everything that is available even out there on the repositories. But if I was going to actually try to install apps, I would probably want to use Synaptics. So I could actually type that in here and then click on it, and our Synaptic package manager opens up. And Synaptic is not as graphical, but it's very fast, and it's actually one of my very favorite package managers outside the console. So here we got 0AD showing right up because it's in alphabetical order. But here you got all these categories: amateur radio, communications, databases, and the whole works. So you can really just kind of go down the line there. But typically I just do a search. So if I need to find something out there in the repositories, like I already got Inkscape installed, but since that's the only thing I can think of off the top of my head, if you hit that, then it's going to find it, and it's got a little check mark there because it's already installed. So that's cool. And if you click on it, it doesn't give you pictures and stuff like that. However, you can read the whole description here. And then if you really need to have a picture, all you got to do is hit the get screenshot, and then it'll download a screenshot for you. And it looks like it actually opened it up in a full screen there. Wow. But there's a picture of Inkscape. So that's pretty cool, actually. And then if I close that, we're back in here. So yes, Synaptic is really pretty awesome. And then in here you have your settings by clicking on the burger menu, and it's showing this property. So these are all the dependencies that are installed files and versions, which is, like I read before, the newest. And then back to the description. So that gives you a greater overview. So loving Synaptic. And then if we go by categories, there is so much stuff in here, it's unbelievable. And so here under accessories, of course, we got our typical accessories that you would find in Xfce plus more. App expose, font manager for managing fonts, and then your fonts viewer here so you can see what kind of fonts you're using, and another one here which is even more full featured, I think. So a lot of utilities, and it looks like our GUI editor is mousepad, which I like. That's one of my favorite. And your little sticky note here, you got a screenshot program, Stacer to see the status of your resources and so forth, and to monitor. And then we have our USB image writer and our stick formatter, so that's always nice to have. And then for DVD and CD burning, we got Xfburn and Xarchiver for our archiving. And under audio, like some of the stuff we saw in the app grid here, our synthesizer, Audacity, audio sampler, so you can see that it's already set up pretty well for people that like to work in sound and edit. And so we got like our drum kit and sound converter, sound juicer, so you can copy music from CDs, synthesizer, and XJadio, kind of looks like a PlayStation thing. Not sure what that is. And then under graphics, we have an animated GIF and animated PNG. That's really cool. So nice to see that you got that. And then a document viewer, label maker, LibreOffice Draw, Inkscape, image mosaic wall. Wow. And then our GIMP, MyPaint, Photo Collage, Raw Therapy, Ristretto image viewer. And then we got XNView, which is another image viewer. Nice one, actually. And Scanlight for scanning and saving images, if you happen to have an all-in-one. And then on our internet apps, we got AirMore, AnyDesk, Blue Griffin, which is an HTML editor, and apparently it does EPUBs too. I didn't know that. And then we got FileMail for a mail client, FileZilla as our FTP, and then it's using Google Chrome as our web browser here. And even though it's using the proprietary Chrome rather than Chromium, I think that might be more to appeal to the people that are migrating over from other operating systems like Mac and Windows. And then we have our image search, so you can search the web for images. That's kind of cool. And then KDE Connect, so you can hook your phone up to it and connect easily. And then KDE Connect indicator. Find local wireless and attach points right here with Lin SSID. Nice. Then we have a Maps, which will open up your web browser and show you maps. And then connection to your OneDrive account. So if you have OneDrive, this is a client that will get you to use your OneDrive right on your PC. So very nice. And even a couple of proprietary things here, I believe, like Telegram and Skype. And then our QBitTorrent and Open Connected and KDE Connect again. And under multimedia, tons of stuff. Cheese, Audacious, DVD Styler, Imagination, Media Info, OBS Studio, which is something I installed off camera. And then we got Peak, Real-Time Kernel, Simple Screen Recorder, which is a great recording screen recorder. Then we have a sound recorder, VLC Media Player installed by default, nice, and Xfburn. And then under our Office apps, we got the complete LibreOffice suite in here. Then we got Master PDF Editor 4, which is the free version of Master PDF Editor. And version 4 allows you to modify PDF files pretty much like Adobe Acrobat. And the 4 version doesn't have the watermark in there. 5, I believe, is the current version, and the free version has a watermark that it puts on your PDFs. And then to remove the watermark, you gotta pay for it and buy it. However, 4, you don't have to do that. So pretty nice. 4, I think, was the last free version they had before they went to paid, if I remember right. Either that or, you know, maybe it was ad supported. I can't remember. It's been a long time. However, you can just probably do everything you want to for free in Master PDF Editor 4. Cool. And then we have a Translate app in here. Nice. It looks like it's got Junghwa and English there in the label. And then here we got BleachBit, Disk Usage Analyzer, HTOP. Wow, that's installed by default. That's impressive. Let's open that up. And wow, 859 megs. So that is actually, my first impression was, wow, 852 megs, that's pretty impressive, because this system is so beautiful and decked out that it looks like something bloated like GNOME. You know, you'd kind of expect to see 1.2 gigs on there. 856 is pretty standard when it comes to Xfce, so that's right in the ballpark of where it ought to be, and that is a really nice reading there for resources, and way over the top compared to all the bling and beauty that you got here in this desktop. So beautiful. There's no bloat added to all this customization. And that in itself, to me, is really impressive. Very cool. So I'm going to Control-C out of that. And then we got more stuff like Time Shift, which is great for backing up your config. Thunar, of course. Our system monitor. That's always handy to have. Real-time kernel for multimedia. Nice. And then under video, we got our video apps here. Anima Shooter, so you can take like stop animations, if I believe. Yeah, stop motion. And then AVI Demux. Blender, a video converter called Curlew, and then Natron, which is a compositor. That's really awesome. If you're not into video, then you probably have no idea what I'm talking about. And then we have Kden Live for our video editor. Fantastic. Handbrake. GNOME Split for splitting and putting files back together again. And then video subtitles. Nice. And then here we got DCP-O-Matic, which is our DCP video stuff here, I believe. And I really don't have any clue what that's for. But I'm sure a professional out there that is into DCPs would actually be quite thrilled for that. So that is cool. That is a tour of our Whisker menu. And then up here, I also noticed that we have a global menu, which is nice. This is very, very Mac-like. If you're coming over from Mac, you're going to be super comfortable in it. So like if I open up something here like maybe our Thunar file manager, then you can see that the menu is up here just like on a Mac. And then that kind of saves space down here, I suppose. So if you come up here, you can go into your file and edit, view, and so forth. So if you want to change your view to like a list view, it's all done right here. And then that's all changed. Or if you want to adjust your settings, of course, then that would be under File, I think, or Edit and Preferences. And then here you can tweak things. Like if I want to change my format, I can make that to today at the time there. So nice to see the global menu up there. That is really cool. And I think I'll stick that back in icon view too. And then over here, of course, we got our normal stuff here, our network, our notifications, power settings, and then our audio right there. And then we have our calendar, and the clock's already got the seconds by default. That's kind of cool. I like having the seconds on there. And then our date, and then our time up here, our calendar. And so that is pretty cool. I like that. And also, I think when I was off camera in the live version there, or this was actually in Italian instead of English. And so that kind of was like, ooh. But it was actually very easy to fix. So just in case you installed this and it's in Italian and you're not Italian, that's pretty easy to change. That was just because of the locale. And you can come over here into your menu and then select language support, which is right here in your favorites. And then this will open right up and it's going to check for languages here. And I'll just say remind me later. That's just saying that you can add extra language support. But what we're really interested in is the regional formats tab. So we want to come over here and under regional format, this was actually under Italian. So I had to change it here and set it to English. And then I clicked apply system wide, and then that changed everything. And of course you want to double check to make sure that your language here is consistent. In my case, it was already set to English here, but I just had to change here. But if you got to change it here again, just hit apply system wide after you're done and you should be good. So I just thought I'd share that with you. And then of course we have our lock screen, which I locked myself out. Nice. And then to your restart here, cancel, and then your shutdown. Now if you're wondering how to log out, because you might be thinking, well, where's the log out? You can just simply right click on your top panel here, and then under panel, you got logout right here, so you can just select that. And then it brings up your screen that shows your logout here, plus your other options like restart, shutdown, switch user, suspend, save session for future, and all that good stuff. So that's where that is. Nice. Now let's just take a look at our system settings real quick. So if we come up here, at the start you see all the typical stuff that you see with Xfce, and then a whole bunch of other things that were added in by the Modicia team, which is really great. Here we have our About Me, so if you want to change your avatar, you can do that right here with Modicia OS. However, I don't have any pictures on here, so I don't have anything to choose, but you would just hit Browse here and then select a picture if you want to use something else. Although I like their default, it looks great right off the bat. And then here we got our appearance, and as you can see, we're using, it looks like it's the Queen Teodolinda. Nice, so that's what kind of theme this is. I thought it looked awfully unique. And then if you like a dark theme better, you can hit one of these. There's a blue dark, And that's pretty nice. That kind of made our menu look cool and all that. Or if you want something like Graybird. Graybird is really a great choice. And so that's a nice dark theme. And then of course you got Breeze Dark, also gorgeous, and then Adwaita. And for me, I think one of my favorite would either be the Adwaita or the Graybird if I was going to stick with dark. And over here you can even change your icons. And it looks like it's using Queen Margarita, maybe. And so I like those icons. I probably just stick with those. However, if you like something else like Elementary or Breeze, right here, and you're good to go. But I'm going to stick with the Margarita and then your button settings and so forth. Now here you can notice that your top bar here on your window, or your window decoration, as it's also known as, it's kind of got a different look here. It's kind of the original Queen Teolinda look. So if you want to change that as well, the style setting for that is actually in a different spot. It's not in this area. So if we go back to all settings, we can go down here to Window Manager. And if we click on that, then it shows our style here. And you can see our Queen Teolinda is still in for the window decoration. So if you want that to match the Graybird, then just come up here to Graybird and hit that. And then it'll change your window decoration up here as well. And kind of gives you that look. And now you might be thinking, hey, I'm not a Mac user and I really don't like my buttons over here. That's kind of uncomfortable. So how can I move that? Well, that's pretty easy too. All we got to do is just come over here to where it says button layout. And here you can see the layout of the buttons. You got the close, maximize, and minimize. So all we got to do is just grab these with our mouse by left clicking and just slide it all the way to the end, and then just keep doing it as we go. So now we move our maximize button, and then we'll grab our minimize and just slide that over next to our maximize. And now you can see everything's over on the right hand side. Nice. So if you're more comfortable with that, then that's all there is to it. Easy peasy. But for the sake of this review, I'm going to just slide them back. So we'll just slide back in reverse order. So I'm going to start with close, bring it all the way to the end, and then the maximize, bring it all the way to the end, and then minimize. And there we go. So back to where it was. And then of course your window decoration, you can really make that anything that you really like. You can just go through this and just find all kinds of options here. And there's Dark Master if you really like the Mac look. That kind of rounds out your buttons. So if we pop over here, now you got the Mac colors, the Mac look. So that's kind of cool. Yes, very cool. So back in all settings here, overall, these are pretty much all the things that you would just kind of expect to find in Xfce. Your window manager tweaks, I guess if I was going to go in here, compositor here, and under opacity of windows during move, I would just slide this back like that. And then when you move your window, it becomes more or less opaque. So that's kind of a nice effect there. And then additional drivers. So it's got a nice, easy way to set up your additional drivers. And so that's not something you usually find by default here in most Xfce installs. So that is really nice. And so in here we can kind of go and look at our default drivers. It detects them for you. And if you need something proprietary or you got to change something, this is a nice little GUI utility to help you do that. Especially if you have a little bit of an idea of what you're doing. And you only need a little bit of an idea because it makes it really easy. And so again, more of the typical stuff here, but as we go down farther, you got more extras like your login window. It's got the manual for Modicia OS, software updates, session and startup, which is, yeah. And then we got our plank bar settings. Plank is what this is called down here, your Mac OS style bar down here. So if you wanted to change anything in there, we can go into plank bar settings. And under appearance, we got our current theme is transparent. But if you want something different, we can go in here and hit matte, and then you can see it's got a background now, which is nice. Or if you want a more of a bar look, you can hit the GTK, and then it kind of puts a little bar like, well, I guess it's not really a bar. It's kind of a background, but it's more blended in, especially because we got a dark wallpaper, so it's harder to see. But you can see the little lights underneath, just barely under the icons there. And the default, I think, is this. So now you got the bar. That's what I was thinking of. So you got this bar on the bottom and then your icons up here. And transparent, I like the transparent, so I think I'm just gonna stay with that. And then here you can change your position if you want. By default it's on the bottom, of course, but if you want it over on the left like an Ubuntu Unity type style, then you got it over here, easy access. And so that is nice. And then you can also put it on the right hand side of the screen or up on top. Maybe you want the top bar on the bottom, or just have it on top along with it. Maybe you like everything on top. So if you don't like going all the way to the bottom for any reason at all, then stick it up on top. There you go. And I believe if you maximize a window, that'll hide it, so it'll get out of the way. So you're not going to hurt anything by putting that up on top. And then if you want it smaller, it'll come back, and there you go. So another nice option, and I would be fine with it up on top, actually. And then, of course, you can move this off of your primary display if you wanted to for some reason. And then your alignment settings, you can do that just by sliding the slider. That's the easiest way. You can align it to the left or the right or in the center, or you can use the presets here and just kind of have it on the end, start, or fill the whole screen. But you gotta fill more icons in there. But it's kind of the same as the center, except it's probably not exactly centered with the screen itself. And then here you can adjust your icon sizes. You can make them really small or really big, depending on how nearsighted you are. And by default, that was set at 48. And you can manually enter the number in here to be more exact, or you can just hit the increments here and pop it up and down in increments of 2. And then our zoom icon. So I like the default just perfect right there. It's set at 150. However, you can make it zoom to be even bigger by cranking the slider. Wow! Or you can just put a very subtle zoom in there, like that, or no zoom at all. Of course, with no zoom at all, I guess you could just turn it off like that, and then you got no zoom at all anyway. And then under behavior, we got it IntelliHide by default, but if you want to change that, you can have it auto hide instead, or just dodge a window that's maximized, or dodge any window, or just the active window. So that's kind of a nice option, array of choices there. And then you can even add a delay for your hide and unhide if you like to have a delay. Pressure review, you can lock your icons so you can't move them around. Earlier I moved this Xfce terminal over next to the file browser, but if you don't like being able to move your icons, maybe you keep accidentally pushing them off the panel, or maybe someone else messes with them all the time, you can hit lock icons, and then if you try to drag it around, they won't move. So I'm left clicking my mouse right now and it's not going anywhere. So that's how you can do that if you want to lock it. And then you can also show unpinned and restrict to the workspace if you like. And then over here in our next tab, we have docklets. And over here, we got different things that we can add into our bar as well that are handy. We have trash already, which is down here, but we can add our show desktop icon, which is kind of different than this up here. Expose all windows, I was thinking was like show desktop, but I don't think it is. Actually, if we hit expose windows, it'll show all the windows that you have open, which right now is only the file browser. But if I was going to escape and then open up something else, like maybe our console and possibly our USB stick formatter, they're all kind of hiding behind each other right now because I got this settings panel open. The settings panel doesn't count because that's just always on top, and that's just, you know, like open while we're doing this. So, but what it's actually going to be acknowledging are the 3 windows here, and you can't see the other window that's formatted because it's hiding behind the console. And so if you have a ton of windows open and they're all overlapping and everything, you can come up here to expose all windows, hit that, and then you can see everything that's open. It just kind of tiles them in an arrangement so you can see everything, which is really cool, and I like that. And then if you want to focus on one of those windows like the stick formatter, you can just mouse over it and click, and then there it is. And again, this one doesn't count because that's our settings that I have open, always on top. So normally that wouldn't be open, of course. So then you can easily find your stick formatter, and there you go. So nice. However, the show desktop, of course, is just going to kind of automatically minimize everything that's open. So if I take that, I can drag it down onto my plank bar here, and then maybe I can just put it on the end by dragging it. And now I got my show desktop. So when I click on that, it minimizes all the open windows and then brings them back up again. So that is cool. And then if you want to get rid of any of these, like maybe you don't want the trash, all you got to do is drag it off the plank bar by left clicking your mouse and then unclick it, lift up your finger, and poof, it's gone. And you can do the same with show desktop. Poof, it's gone. Nice. And then if you regretted that, oh, I regret that decision. Why did I do that? Then you can just put them back on right from here. And so we can just set that there, and I can drag that at the end. And then same with the trash. Maybe I want to put my trash back, so I'll stick that. Maybe I'll put that right there, and there we go. Nice. And actually I could have that over there too, because this is a folder that's already open. It's not something that's really pinned to the taskbar, so if I close that, then it's going to disappear, and these are on the end anyway. So that's kind of how that works. Nice. All right. So that's really all the good settings stuff. Nice. And since I'm in here, let's take a look at our kernel. So if I do a uname -r, we can see that we're running the 5.15.0.17 generic kernel. Nice. Very consistent with 22.04. So perfecto. I'm going to close that and just kind of open our file manager back up just because I think it looks so cool. And what else can we do? In fact, I'm going to minimize that. And let's take a look at our wallpaper. So I'm going to jump in here, go to desktop settings, and wow, there's a bunch of wallpaper. It looks like it's all branded wallpaper here by default, and that is nice. So if you want more color, you can click on something like that. Beautiful. And so I'm going to slide that over a bit and something a little more subdued, and a lot of cool doodling on there. That's perfect for like a elementary school student or something. Nice. And then a more college look and something more suited for the sound version if you're a sound person. Nice. So they got a lot of different themes here. Richer color version. Bubbles. Wow. A planet. Beautiful. And then the wet look. That's always good. And then our enterprise logo there, branding, so that's really great. And then our original, of course, enterprise, blue, and then the cool car. Yes, I'm gonna have to go with this one. Wow, that's bad to the bone. Yeah, that really sets it off nice. I know that's gonna be my pick, so we'll go with that. And then, as you notice, there's no icons on here at all, and that's probably because of the plank bar here at the bottom. You got all the icons you really need right here. However, you can put any icons on the desktop you wish right here. And then if you want default icons, we can come over here and we can turn on our home folder, and then the home folder shows up by default. You can also do the same with file system or the trash if you want to put the trash can up there. Or if you want to display removable devices, like if you plug a thumb drive into your computer and you want it to show up on the desktop, you can check that and it'll show up right over here somewhere when you plug something in. A device like this. So that's how you do that. And of course, I don't have anything plugged in right now. That's why it's not showing up. So very good. So I'm going to close out of there, and I think we covered everything. And I got to tell you, Modicia OS is just amazing. This is one of the most beautiful, complete desktops I've seen anywhere. In fact, I remember when I discovered Deepin a long time ago, Deepin Desktop, I was so blown away by the aesthetics and the looks. And I'm thinking this might even blow that away. I just love the way it's laid out, the way it's themed. Everything is just so elegant and beautiful, and it's using almost half the resources. So how great is that? This is definitely something I would recommend to anybody. Heck yeah, I would put this on my mom's computer, my grandma's, my great-great-grandma's, and my great-great-great-great-great-grandma's computer. Yeah, they all had computers. You know why? Because I came from the future, the year 3113. That's when I was born. And then I committed a crime and I was sent back to this barbaric time period, the 21st century. Oh my God. So I got to do a lot of time here, and maybe someday I'll get to go back. Nah, I'm kidding. Anyways, I'm getting off track. My thoughts, these Modicia OS, I got to tell you, I believe it's made in Italy because all kinds of wonderful things come out of Italy. You got the Ferrari and Gucci and so many things that are just high-end and really well done, top-notch stuff. And Modicia OS is right in that class. It is like the Gucci of Linux. So yes, this is just a distro that's kind of left me speechless. It has got everything that I can really think of that I would even need pretty much installed right by default. The only thing I would have to add is OBS Studio, and I'm pretty much all set with my essentials. So this is something I can really install and do almost nothing to get it usable for my own personal use. And to me, I think that's pretty remarkable, because anytime I install something, I always got to add a whole bunch of stuff, which I don't mind, but this is really almost feels like that it was tailored just for me. And so I think they've really crack the secret to finding the sweet spot for almost any user that would use Linux. And if you install this for somebody that's sick of Windows and they want to come over to something else, or if they're a Mac user, they would be super comfortable with this. And even a Windows user would be comfortable, I'm sure. But a Mac user especially would be right at home because of the familiar layout and the look. And really, a Windows user, it wouldn't take them long at all to adjust. And I know my brother, when he left Windows, he didn't care that if it looked like Windows. In fact, he kind of preferred that it looked different because he had such a bad experience with Windows that he didn't even want to be reminded of it. So yeah, don't think that everybody has to have it look like Windows. You'd be surprised probably how many people are okay with a different kind of layout like we have here. And so absolutely 100% recommend this. I give this 2 thumbs up. And if I had 4 thumbs, I would add those in there too. So with that, I hope this review was helpful. And if it was, speaking of thumbs up, don't forget to leave that thumbs up. And hit subscribe. Thanks again for watching my review, and we'll see you next time.